And also in this series, we have opportunities to meet with the distinguished scientists from all over the world. So for today, with the lectures, with the topics of brain-computer interface, which is the area of neurotechnology, we will have the opportunity to meet with such a distinguished scientist, Professor C.T. Lin from University of Technology, Sydney, who also co-director of the Australian AI Institute. Okay, but at first, we would like to introduce a young scientist from Vietnam, Dr. Nguyễn Thế Hoàng Anh, who got his PhD from our university in BCI. So his dissertation is one of the very first dissertations in BCI in Vietnam, who is now with the Vietnam Korea Institute of Science and Technology. Okay, so now I'd like to turn over to the coordinator of today's seminar, Dr. Trần Hiệp Định. Okay, so please, Hiệp Định will be the MC of this seminar today.
Thank you, Dr. Lê Vũ Hà. Yes, it is already 9:30, so could we please join me to welcome Dr. Nguyễn Thế Hoàng Anh to start his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ha and Dr. Hiệp Định for the introduction. So I would like to say my hi and my best regard to Dr. C.T. Lin from Australia. It's a great honor to have you in this series. And thanks to the organizers, so I have the chance to talk first in today's session. So before I start my presentation, I would like to confirm whether you can hear me clearly or not. Dr. Lê Vũ Hà, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
Okay, so please go ahead.
So today, I will have opportunity to talk about research topics that I have been doing for, I think, around 13 years. In this research topic, it is not very popular in Vietnam like 10 years ago, but the trend is growing. And there have been more and more researchers in computer science and neuroscience who are working in these research topics. And the research group of Dr. Nguyễn Linh Trung and Dr. Lê Vũ Hà is one of the very first research group in Vietnam to work on this research topic. So my topic today is brain-computer interface and its research progress in Vietnam. I will talk about my research in brain-computer interface, which is mainly based on electrical encephalographic signal, EEG signals. I will also cover other research works of other Vietnamese research group in this area. And I hope that I will be able to provide the audience today the big pictures about what is going on in this research topic in Vietnam. So as all of us know, a brain is one of the most important organs of human. Basically, the brain is the main organs that coordinates many activities. Most of the non-voluntary activities of other human organs. So the brain is very complicated. It consists of more than 100 billion neurons, and the nerves are connected sophisticatedly with each other. And whenever the central nervous system sends a signal, so millions of the nerves will be activated to process the signal and then give the order or the commands to other organs. So the brain is partitioned into many regions, so-called frontal lobe, temporal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe. And one of the main region of the brain is the cerebellum. And as all of us know, each regions is in charge of a specific function. For example, the temporal lobe is in charge of hearing and learning and feelings. So sometimes if we have the damage in the temporal lobe, for example, in the Broca region, maybe we will lose our hearing or speech processing ability. So I guess because I'm the first to talk, so I will talk about the very fundamental concepts in this area first, and then we will go to the work that are ongoing in Vietnam in BCI. So if we have some brain disorder, we will have serious problems in terms of physiology aspect or biological aspect. So in this slides, you can see the CT image of the brain of a normal person and an Alzheimer's patient. We can see that the normal person has a brain with many regions that are activated or functioning, but the Alzheimer patients, he has some part that is not activated in his brain. So in this slides, I would like to quote what Francis Crick said a long time ago. Francis Crick is a medicine Nobel laureate in 1962, and he won the Nobel Prize because of his work in biology, in DNA analysis. But he spent the rest of many years of his research life after the Nobel Prize to work on the neuroscience. And he said that the 20th century is a century of genetics. So the 21st century is a century of the neuroscience. Actually, before the COVID pandemic, I guess it is quite true, but like because of the COVID-19 pandemic, so I guess like this is hardly true, not absolutely true. Up to now, we already passed a quarter of the 21st century, and I guess that genetics is the very crucial science in biology, and I guess it is a very important technology in the 21st century. But we have 3 other quarters of the 21st century to certify whether this statement is correct or not. But like long time ago, like 200-300 years ago, the scientists in Europe and even in Asia, they would like to discover what is behind the skull, what is the brain, how it works, what is the structure and organization, of the brain. And but that time they use very like fundamental equipments to explore the brain, but they somehow even like open the brain with their very fundamental equipments. Today we have many like modern medical equipments to capture the signals from the brain. The signal from the brains could be electrical signals, such as recorded by the EEG headsets or ECG headset, whether it is the invasive or non-invasive medical equipments. We have many imaging modalities to record the equipment, such as to record the signal from the brain, such as the Android machine or the CT machine. And somehow in Vietnam, we even use the PET imaging modality to record the signal from the brain. And it's very helpful for the disease diagnosis and analysis, and also for the treatment as well. Computer interface is a very specific technology that focus on provide the human being a solution to interact with multiple devices. For example, human can use the brain of the face to interact with like computers, with TVs, with house or kitchen equipments, and many other entertainment measures as well. BCI is very helpful solution to some very specific persons or patients. For example, with the ALS disease. ALS is a disease that like cause the patients to be like partially or completely paralyzed. And one of the very famous example of ALS patient is Professor Stephen Hawking of University of Cambridge. He lost his ability to talk. To move his body, to move his hands or his legs. But basically, his mind is very sharp. He can still give lecture and even like publish scientific works. So other like patients maybe may lose their movement abilities, but they can like still interact. The brain is still working, and you can see in this slides a lady who are like ALS, but she can use his brain and then use the brain and the brain computer interface system to control robot arms and to feed herself. This is one of the very like famous work in the field of the scientists at the University of Pittsburgh, USA. In France, the scientists even like design a exoskeleton system that can help stroke patients to rehabilitate, to train, to be able to walk again and to move again. And the brain computer interface is also useful if someone want to control the wheelchair as well, or even like in some works that I see, they use the BCI to control the UAV or the drones. So one of the very like popular recording modalities that BCI use is electroencephalogram, EEG, AG is, I think, is an appropriate approach to BCI implementation because it is portable, it's not easy to move, it's small, it is low cost, and in some very good EG asset, the signal is very good and meaningful for the BCI system. In this slide, I would like to provide a quick overview about what is going on as a BCI research overseas. I mean, like outside Vietnam, what are going on in this field. So in 2017, Facebook introduced the brain typing projects, and they try to provide a BCI that can spell at very high speed. I think around like more than 100 characters per minute. A couple of years ago, Facebook acquired Control Lab, $1 billion deal, US dollar deal, and that lab they can like acquire, they can record from the wrist of the hand. In USA, they launched an initiative 2025 program to analyze and study the human brain, and BCI is one of the way to do that. In Europe, they have the BCI 2000 and BNCI Horizon 2020 and many other like society and program in many European countries. In China, they have the China Brain 2035. I guess in Australia, maybe the government of Australia has some large program regarding the neuroscience of the BCI. So in this slide, we cover some of the researches regarding and relevant to the BCI in Vietnam. It started, I think, around like 15 years ago when the research group of Dr. Nguyễn Linh Trung, they started to study the EEG signal. In this case, the EEG spike, epileptic spike detection, to help the hospital doctors for more accurate diagnosis and treatment of the epileptic patients. In 2010, a research group from the Hanoi University of Science and Technology, they won the first place in Vietnam talent competition, and they use EEG signal to decode the human emotions recognition. After that, many like industries, corporations such as the AVITECH Corporation or AVITECH Universities or Viettel group. Viettel is one of the largest and biggest ICT conglomerate in Vietnam, and AVITECH they have a BCI to control robot arms in 2030, and Viettel they started very first EEG signal analysis and research in 2018. Viettel they work on motor imagery classification. For the academy, the Vietnam Academy of Science and Technology, the Institute of Information Technology, IOIT of us, they developed the BCI to control the smart electronic devices. Recently, the neurotechnology and BCI attains a quite considerable attention from the government. They introduced into the around like 40 prioritized national technologies for Vietnam, neurotechnology. And for example, the Vietnam government is funding a national project to build a large EEG database and to develop BCI applications to control, to spell Vietnamese characters and apply initially to healthcare. Even like the largest private funding group, scientific funding organization, Vin Group, they fund projects, quite a big project to develop the BCI-based eye tracking speller for Vietnam. Also, they built that large database as well. So I will like talk in the next slides. The work that have been done are ongoing in terms of that scientific aspect. This is in this slide we can see a work of the scientists from the Vietnam Academy of Science and Technology. I've been in Vietnam Science Academy of Science and Technology for around 6 years, and in that time we developed the BCI to control the IoT electronic devices. Basically, we ask the users to perform three different mental states: the low concentration, the medium concentration, and the very high concentration, and then record the signal with the emotive headset, AVITECH Plus, and then we use that signals to send to the IoT devices. In this case, you can see a light bulb, and we can turn on and off the light bulbs. Also, we can give commands to several other electronic devices as well. A similar work, but in the larger scale, is ongoing at Vietnam National University. The human interaction machine, different like way, but they try to control the electronic device as well via the cloud computing as well. In another work that we are working on, we build an EEG database of Vietnamese people, more than 1,000 Vietnamese people, and more than 10,000 EEG recording sessions. We use a newly released emotive EEG headset, the Plex. And in this work, besides the database, we will like build several BCIs, including a BCI to spell Vietnamese characters and English characters. The Vietnamese character is a little bit different from the English characters, although there are also the Latin character systems. But we use the very similar experimental design as Berlin BCIs. And perhaps we will try to launch the version in the mobile application as well. Regarding the EEG database of Vietnamese people, we will use the emotive headsets, and we try to have a very like good demographic distributions of male and female, of young, old, middle age, of Vietnamese people from different countries, different regions in Vietnam. In another work, the Vietnamese scientists at Ho Chi Minh International Universities, very like another young scientist as well, Dr. Ha Thanh Hương. She got PhD in neuroscience from Stanford. Her research group is building a brain-computer interface to control the computer mouse cursors. They use the sensory motor items approach. I guess Dr. Hương group They may use the auditory stimuli or visual stimuli to exercise the sensory motor items features and try to direct the mouse cursor to the target. In one of our research works, we are building and developing virtual reality BCI, VR BCI to help the stroke patient to gain their movement again. That is very helpful for the rehabilitation in some of the very big hospital in Vietnam. We collaborate this work with the medical doctors in neuroscience and rehabilitation departments at my hospitals. As us may know, in Vietnam annually there are more than 200,000 stroke patients, and it is increased by around 2% in the last 3 years. And the percentage of female patients are 4 times more than the male patients in the stroke. The death rate of the stroke are very highly alert. It is equal to the combination of the death rate of AIDS, of tuberculosis, and malaria. And in the 140 seconds, there's a stroke patient's case, and in 4 minutes, there's a death stroke. So we can see that the number of stroke patients in Vietnam increased, and the younger patients are more than before. So using the BCI to help the rehabilitate the stroke patients is a very helpful solution. In this VR BCI, we use the motor imagery, and we ask the patient to imagine the motor movement, and they will evaluate the feedback with the BCI system, and then he can see his movement or his imagination characters moving in the virtual reality environment. Another group, the VNU research group at the HMI lab of VNU, they are working on the BCIs to improve the eye tracking speller. We can know, maybe some of us know that we can use the eye gaze to spell the characters, and it is a very mature technology. But in this research group, the VNU research group, they try to improve the speed and quality of the spelling based on the BCI. Basically, we think in the very short time, but for example, I think it's just 5 seconds, but I can talk but I can speak in 5 minutes. So this BCI eye speller, eye tracking speller, follows that mechanism to improve its speech and its accuracy. Besides the technology, BCI technology, that research group, they also use AG database of Vietnamese people. They have been recorded more than 200 subjects, and they with touches 300 subjects, including more than 20 AOS Vietnamese patients. This is very significant number. And the experimental designs, they had around 9 trials, including motor imagery, head movement, user intention. Yep. So actually, I have some comments. The R&D in EG and besides is at very advanced level and prioritized for research funding overseas. However, in Vietnam, the research area is still at the very beginning step, and many research groups are non-systematic. They are not aligned in the common systems, and they get very limited research funding from the government or from the industry. So we should put into higher consideration from the state level to from the industry perspective for more research grants and more investment. We like the EG databases of Vietnamese people and several the big Vietnam EG database are building. The EG BCI research group in Vietnam have not been focused on research topics that are state of the art in the field. None of the research results have been applied in practice. We hope that to see the practical application of BCIs in the next couple of years from Vietnamese scientists. And collecting EG big database, this is important. It's not easy in Western countries, but it is fairly possible in Vietnam. So perhaps building EG database is an advantage of Vietnamese scientific community. Another comments, neurotechnologies is a multidisciplinary research area. This is my comment to the young scientists or the students or the PhD students in this field. So you need the expertise in EEG signal processing and analysis. You need to know machine learning, neuroscience, and several other relevant skills. You need to be good at programming in Python, in MATLAB, or C++, for example. Deep learning is an appropriate approach for EEG signal processing. And as all of us know, EEG signal is special format. And deep learning was invented based on the analysis of the brain and neurons. So deep learning is quite good to analyze the brain signal. BCI is the technology that serves practical human purposes, and I think we will soon see the successful commercialized applications of the BCIs. We know that like Facebook acquired Control Labs 2 years ago, and that technology can record the brain electrical signal for the hand raise. That is very important. If we have, like, for example, the Apple Watch that can like follow the electrical signal from the brain, this is very essential, important. Neuralink of Elon Musk, they are working on brain computer interface technology. In Vietnam, we have Emotive and Edible. And Emotive, they have the commercialized EEG headset. It is a Silicon Valley company, but the main R&D office is located in Hanoi, not very far away from VNU. Another newly launched company is focused on EEG signal, Edible Wings, a professor of Oxford, Professor Tambu, and it is newly established and supported by various ventures, including Ving Group. In this slide, I would like to give one of my suggestions. We can see in this slide the structures of many different like deep learning architectures, of deep net, of convolutional neural network, of deep autoencoder, of deep generative, adversarial nest, and a deep long short-term memory. Many of these popular deep learning architectures are invented based on to copy the structure and the mechanism and the function of the brain. So the working in EEG and BCI research may lead to new deep learning model invention. For example, we will try to copy the mechanism of the brain for self-supervised learning machine learning models, or for unsupervised learning models, or for general AI. In my last slides are some pictures of my research lab at Vietnam Korean Institute of Science and Technology. We have several locations. One lab in Hanoi Center, not far away from Hanoi Opera Theater. And in the central image, this is the the office of AVITECH in Hoa Lạc High Tech Park. We are supercomputing and many equipment over there as well. We look forward to recruiting and welcoming many other young researchers to join our labs to work on this field or work in other fields such as image processing and computer graphics. Another field is ICT for smart agriculture. We also have many other activities with the industries and work within our research group in this field and many other AI application fields as well. Lastly, thank you for the organizers for that provide me this opportunity to talk about the big picture about Vietnam BCI and Asia research, about some ongoing research works, about some technology that have been developed by Vietnamese scientists in computer science and neuroscience. And I hope that you get some information about what is going on in Vietnam. The neuroscience community in Vietnam is growing, and we welcome the contributions and more works from Vietnamese and other countries scientists in this field. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for your very detailed presentation, Dr. Nguyễn Thế Hoàng Anh, and especially the presentation about the research progress about BCI in Vietnam. I guess like the audience, they might have a lot of questions for you, but because we are a few minutes behind the schedule, so I would like to invite Professor Lin, Professor Chin Teng Lin. So he is currently a distinguished professor, co-director of the Australian AI Institute, and director of CI-BCI Lab at AVITECH, University of Technology, Sydney. He is also an invited faculty, international faculty at the University of California at San Diego from 2012, and honorary professorship of the University of Nottingham from 2014. Professor Lin is a leading scientist in the field of machine intelligence system and brain-computer interfaces. And he also focused his work in algorithm development and system design. So far, he has published over 390 journal papers with head index 79, and he was a co-author of the neural fuzzy system and author of neural fuzzy control system with structure and parameter learning. From 2011 to 2016, Dr. Lin was the editor-in-chief of the reputable journal IEEE Transaction on Fuzzy System, and he has been serving as a board of governor of IEEE Circuits and Systems Society, IEEE Systems, Man and Cybernetic Society, and IEEE Computational Intelligence Society. He is the chair of the 2022 CIS Awards Committee, and he's also an IEEE fellow and received the IEEE Fuzzy Pioneer Award in 2017. So please join me to welcome Professor Lin. He will give a talk about brain-computer interface, the next generation human-machine interface. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ip. Yeah, and also take this opportunity to appreciate you for the invitation for me to present my current research on BCI in this important event. And I also appreciate Professor Nguyen. I really appreciate. He was very impressive talk. And also let me understand the excellent research result and progress in Vietnam BCI researches. Some researches I had did quite in similar kind of research. I will show you, and hopefully we could have a chance to have some future collaborations. And also, I fully agree with you that we should promote together for the investment either your country or Australia or the world, more investment the research funding and research effort in the brain-computer interface. Okay.
Thank you very much. Welcome. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Let me share my screen. And also, I saw Professor Ha here. Great to see you again. And hopefully, you can visit us with the team. Dr. Dean. And let me share my
long
screen.
time no see.
Great to see you again.
City. Good morning here. Thank you for
Yes.
coming.
Yes. Good morning. So, can you see my screen? Oh, not yet. No? Oh,
Yes.
oh, you
You
can
see your slide now.
Okay, yeah. So you can see my screen. Okay, so actually, Professor Nguyen already covered the very knowledgeable, give us knowledgeable idea about what is BCI. And so this presentation here, I just focus, majorly is what happened in my lab about the BCI researches and in different kind of applications. And so I consider the BCI will be the next generation human-computer interface, especially for wearable devices. So I always tell our audience that in my ears, the human-computer interface is keyboard, basically it's keyboard, and later on we have mouse. It's very useful even nowadays. And for the mobile phone system, we have used the hand to handwritten character recognitions, and then even in right now is the VR, virtual reality age. You can see people wear VR, AR, but they wear the hand, the gesture, right? Wear the hand in the air for the interfacing. But I think for the wearable devices, since everything is on the head, right? We have display just in front of eyes. So the BCI will be the very nature interface. It's easy to put the sensor somewhere in the wearable devices, and then through the brain signal, there will be the more nature and direct interface between the human and the computer or in the machines. So that's the reason why I call that the BCI could be the next generation human-computer interface. Okay, and I just since Professor Nguyen already have a very comprehensive introduction, so I just go this very quickly. So BCI, we consider there are three kinds of BCI: active, passive, and reactive. So passive means the voluntary control. For example, use the brain signal to control the wheelchair, or use the brain signal to control the remote robot is active control. And the other side is the passive BCI. I just try is the main function is for the cognition assessment. For example, when people driving for driver, then we can detect the fatigue level of the driver through the BCI technology. So for just kind of application, try to understand to assess the current cognitive state of the user. We call it the passive BCI. And the third one is something between this is reactive BCI. So it's kind of, we provide some stimulus to the user, and we detect the reaction of the user, the reaction of brain, the user's brain to the stimulus. And then we analyze the data to understand what's going on inside the brain. So this is kind of reactive BCI. So reactive BCI basically is kind of active BCI, try to understand the intention of human, the user. I just give the command. Okay, so these three kind of BCI. So before this, I want to borrow the video. This is the mask. Professor Nguyen also mentioned mask. Neuralink is the mask already also invest a lot on brain computer interface. So this is the video maybe released at the end of last year. So I just borrowed this from the YouTube.
This is Paige. He's a 9-year-old macaque who had a Neuralink placed in each side of his brain about 6 weeks ago. If you look carefully, you can see that the fur on his head hasn't quite fully grown back. He's learned to interact with a computer through a taste can interact with the neural links simply by pairing them to an iPhone, just as you might pair your phone to a Bluetooth speaker. The links record from more than 2,000 electrodes implanted in the regions of Page's motor cortex that coordinate hand and arm movements. Neurons in this region modulate their activity with intended hand movement. For example, some might become more active when he moves his hand up, and others when he moves it to the right. By recording from many neurons and feeding their activity into a decoder algorithm, we are able to predict Page's intended hand movements in real time. First, we calibrate the decoder by recording neural activity as Pager uses the joystick to move a cursor to targets presented on the screen. As he's playing this game, we are wirelessly streaming in real time firing rates from thousands of neurons to a computer. Using these data, we calibrate the decoder by mathematically modeling the relationship between patterns of neural activity and the different joystick movements they produce. After only a few minutes of calibration, we can use the output from the decoder to move the cursor instead of the joystick. Pager still moves the joystick out of habit, but as you can see, it's unplugged. He's controlling the cursor entirely with decoded neural activity. Our goal is to enable a person with paralysis to use a computer or phone with their brain activity alone. Because they wouldn't be able to move the joystick, they would calibrate the decoder by imagining hand movements to targets. One of the things the Neuralinks allow Pager to do is to play his favorite video game, Pong. To control his paddle on the right side of the screen, Pager simply thinks about moving his hand up or down. We've removed the joystick altogether. Now that he's up to speed, let's increase the difficulty and see how well Pager can play with the Neuralink. As you can see, Pager is amazingly good at mind pong. He's focused, and he's playing entirely of his own volition. It's not magic. The reason Neuralink works is because it's recording and decoding electrical signals from the brain. Great game, Pager. And what better reward for
Okay, I start here. So this is quite, you can see this quite successful demonstration, a real-time demonstration of the VCI technology by the mask companies, the Neuralink. And so as the video said that the key technology is to record and analyze the brain signal. Yeah, so from the analysis, we can understand, we can learn through the machine learning AI technology, we can learn the brain patterns, the brain signal patterns that indicate the motions that the monkey is intended to do to move the cursor in some way. But important thing here is that you cannot see the electron here because it's imprinted is the invasive recording in the brain. So that's they have 2,000 to 3,000 detecting point inside the brain. So this is it's a VCI, but this we could call it the invasive VCI since we get the invasively to record the EEG data, just that we can have high accuracy and also for this application. So basically, actually, this is not new, right? This is a human neural processes as published in 2005, so almost around 18 years ago. So they already has just kind of experiment, but you can see this is also invasive. So, but you can see a lot of big devices here, and the electron is inside the brain. So this demo can also use for this immunopomp. Exactly the same game I just showed in Masker's video. Yeah, so this idea is not actually not new, and the technology is has been proved to be feasible almost 20 years ago. Of course, what difference is that you can see there is a big device here, but it's nothing here, right? So this is a big advance on the recording system. But anyway, this is invasive. But since the BCI we pursuing for the everyday, everyone technology. So in my lab, I'm more focused on non-invasive BCI technology. So the core technology for BCI is two parts. One is the we can consider easily there's the hardware and software. So hardware, we hope to develop the wearable devices, including the dry sensor amplifier and this device to wear comfortably on the head. And the other is the software, especially the AI system, to analyze or to extract the biomarker and to identify the human intention or human cognitive state. So this is two core technology, hardware and software. I will introduce a little bit about these two parts. So the hardware, we hope to develop the mobile and wireless EEG devices, like emotive Professor Nguyen just introduced, is also the mobile and wireless non-invasive EEG devices. So this shows that this is the current experimental of the hospital setup of the EEG devices. So you can see another channel and also another bunch of wire. So we want to make it wireless, and so we have some in my lab. I developed some devices like this. It's a more portable wireless EEG devices, a different design, form factor design, including different number of channel. For example, this is the 2 channel, 4 channel, 8 channel, 32 channel, up to 64 channels. Yeah. So this is it's better, right, for the normal people to wear. And of course, we cut out all the wires, so it becomes wireless. But more important part is on the sensor. So the traditionally we use the so-called wet sensor. So we have to apply the gel on the scar surface to make sure the good contact, low impedance between the sensor and the scar surface. And so, but this is not comfortable and also not convenient. So we need to develop something we call it the dry sensor. So dry sensor means that we don't need to apply any conductive gel. We can just touch on the screen and hopefully to get a good EEG signal. So this is the key technology. Here is the EEG dry sensor. So in the past few years, we developed several different kind of the dry sensor. And so, but basically you can see there are two kinds. One is kind of flat, the other is kind of this design multi-finger. So for different purpose. Yeah, so for the flat tie, this kind, the flat tie sensor, the flat, so it can be only applied on the non-hairy side. For example, the forehead of the earlobe, around the earlobe. But majorly we have the head mostly covered by the hair. So we need some other design, just kind of the multi-finger design. This one or this one is different material, okay? So there are two kinds. This is to try to penetrate the hair, okay, to touch the scar surface, just that we can have can catch the clean EEG signal. And so this is the design. And the other important is material, different kind of material, could be metal, could be silver, of the silicon-based sensor. And right now, I am in a project, ongoing project. I cooperate with the material scientist, and she's helping apply to develop a graphene-based sensor. And graphene actually is a very good conductivity, even better than metal, some metal. So this is what we are developing now. This is a material. And so to develop the dry sensor basically is also a multidiscipline research problems. Especially we need an expert from the material science. Okay, so this is some dry sensor we are developing. And with the sensor, then we will develop the circuit, amplified circuit. So as a miniaturized circuit as possible. Yeah, since sometimes we hope the circuit will, since we ask for the portable, so we hope the circuit can as small as possible and can put somewhere around the head, okay, or even in the pocket. Yeah, so this is the circuit. And the third key component for the hardware, the wearable device, is we call the form factor design. So depends on the number of the sensor, we could have a different design. But the challenging part for this is that the human's head is quite complex. Different human have a different shape of head. So how to have a good design, form factor design, just that can fit most of the head. Fit the head in two senses. One is comfortable. The other is that to keep a good contact of the sensor on the scar surface. So these are all the challenging problem in developing the wearable EEG devices. So this is a hardware part. So this is some about design. This is all channel, 4-channel devices, and combined with the interface. So remote the Bluetooth transmission. So we can record the EEG signal remote like this. And okay, so right now they already have several commercialized devices, EEG devices, a lot of, including the emotive, the Professor Nguyen just mentioned. Okay. So this is hardware. And on the software part, okay, so there are 4 major BCI system components. One is the signal processing. When we have the sensor, when we have a device, wearable device, then we can record the EEG signal. And the first is the signal processing, and then feature extraction, the biomarker, so-called biomarker, and feature decoding, and then different kind of application from the game, entertainment, robotics of the control, and also the rehabilitation, something related to medical applications. Okay, and so I just introduce a little bit about the software, the signal processing. One important, so it goes from introduce a little bit about this component. So one major function in the software is the artifact removal, especially for the VCI application, not in the control environment. So we cannot ask the sub-user to be just stay in a very well controlled environment, right? Since the application will be anywhere, could be in the driving, walking, and so the environment where an application will induce a lot of noise. Okay, so this, for example, this is the recorded EEG signal under the normal environment. So you can see a lot of the noisy. Also, this one a lot of noisy. So the first action is to do the artifact removal. We need to develop just kind of algorithm to remove the artifact. Okay. So this is before and this is after. I will show you the video, the real-time artifact removal algorithm, and this is another example. So this is the first function, artifact removal. Okay, so I will show this video later. Okay, it's a real-time demo of the artifact removal. Okay, in this YouTube, I have a video later. I will show you. And the other is the biomarker extraction. So there are different kind of biomarker. So I just show you one example. Is a brain. We call this a brain connectivity. Yeah. So we also to get the brain connectivity information from the recorded EEG signal is also challenging. Yeah, since you have an MRI, then we can neuroimaging can take the photo directly inside the brain, so we can see clearly. But right now, since we only can have the EEG signal recorded from the scar surface, then when we got the signal from the scar surface and how to estimate what's going inside the sources of all this recorded signal, and we can get just kind of information inside the brain is brain connectivity signals. So in this example, this is a feature of brain connectivity pattern corresponding to attention when people in high attention. And this is when people in mind wandering. This is you can see different kind of brain connectivity patterns. So if we can extract just kind of the feature, or we call it biomarker, then we can say that, oh, the person right now is in high attention. and if we found the patterns like this, then we can say, oh, the person, the user right now is in the mind wandering state. Okay, so this is another example. The second function is that to extract the biomarker from the EEG signal. And this the video show you the real-time brain connectivity analysis. So this is a device, wearable device. It's a 64 channel or higher density, and with a dry sensor, and can real time. It's a widely transmit the computer, and computer can real time calculate the brain connectivity changing from time to time. Okay, yeah. So so up to this point, I introduced to you the basic component of the BCI. One is hardware, one is software. Hardware is the wearable EEG devices, and the hardware is AI for the signal processing, especially to remove artifact and to extract the feature. Yeah, and then to use the AI technology or machine learning to identify the feature, what the meaning of the feature to indicate the user's intention of the cognitive state. And there are two major applications of the BCI. One is actually I think this is for healthy people. This is for patients. We can say so. So actually cover all the persons, all the human persons. So one is stereo application. The function is to augment human performance, and also have a good application in clinical application, especially for the chronic cognitive neural diseases, to take care of some issues like sleep disorder, depression, migraine, and epilepsy. Okay, so I will give you some example of both of the applications. So application could be control robot or gain interaction from a game, and robot control emotion identification or fatigue detection, sleep quality detection, and clinical applications. Okay. Okay, so in the remaining of this presentation, I will give you an example based, give you the case by case study. So the first is what I did several years ago, maybe more than 10 years ago, but still ongoing. Is the VCI for drowsiness detection in driving. So this is the system that we developed. We use our wearable device is the 2-channel or 4-channel. I forgot the 4-channel, and can widely transmit to the iPad or the iPhone, so you can see the recorded EEG signal. And then we have algorithm to identify the fatigue label of the driver. Okay, and indicate by this. For example, if alert, then it's brake. The circle is brake. If in high drowsiness, then the circle becomes red, and then will produce some auditory feedback to the user, to the driver, try to wake him or wake her up. And so this is some real-time demo. So this is one status driving, and you can see the real-time recording 4-channel EEG data. And right now the driver is in quite alert state, so the circle is brake. Okay, and this is the other situation. So right now the circle is filling up with the color, and then it becomes red. So it means that the system detected the driver is in high drowsiness status. Okay, so give the warning signal to the users. Okay, so this is the video to show this. And actually, we also have a product of this. It done for the EEG-based fatigue assessment. So we just based on the single channel, just one channel on the forehead, and widely transmit the iPhone devices and to detect the fatigue label of the drivers and give the warning signal. And so this is the first application, and also the technology. Okay, and the second. Professor Nguyen also mentioned the motor imaginary. So we also use also motor imagining different applications. Okay, so this is the quite basic experiment about motor imaginary. So you can consider you are the subject and you look at the screen, and the screen will show you, for example, when you turn this pattern, move into the left, then you will consider your left hand move, and if the pattern is move into the right, then you will consider the right hand move. So this is a experiment, and so during the experiment, we can record the EEG data, and then we can analyze the EEG data, and to find the biomarker and through a biomarker that to identify what you think. You think left hand move or right hand move. If you identify or you are thinking what you thought is the right hand move, then it means it's the command is the make a right turn, for example, and on the other hand is the make a left turn. Okay? So this is the motor imaginary. So so this is our experiment. So with our device, so we can see that right now we put the EEG device on the top of the head. This is motor area. Since when you think of the left hand move, right hand move, then we can easily to get the bio signal or the feature from the motor area. And so in this experiment, there is arrow. So when arrow turn to the left hand side, the left, and then the user will think the left hand move, and the system will identify. It's finished. Sorry. So the right and the left has so this the right, and this the thing the right hand move, and this the thing the left hand move, and the systems correctly identify this the right hand move. Okay, so this is the video that show, and he put on the hand on the table just to show that actually the hand did not move at all. So just thinking, the hand move or right hand move. Okay, and from the brain signal that we can identify which direction is the user's intentions. And so so with this technology, there are several applications. For example, for a game, this is quite famous Candy Crush, right? So we can use thought to control it. And okay, so the other thing is the VGI technology. We call it SSVP. And in this experiment, we will show a flicker. At different frequency. For example, this frequency is 6 Hertz, and then we can identify from the EEG signal. Okay, the user is looking at the flicker with the 6 Hertz. Okay, so you can see we have different flicker with different frequency. Then from the EEG signal, then we can identify which flicker the user is looking at, and that is the relative command in his in her mind. Okay, so this is SSVP. So this is kind of the reactive VCI, as I say in the very beginning. There's passive, there's active, and the third one is reactive. So reactive, this is one example here, right? You can provide the stimulus, the flicker to the user, and user look at the flicker, and then we can identify from the EEG signal the frequency of this flicker. Okay. So one application, actually this is made from my partner in UC San Diego. And so you can type. So you can see the different flicker here, and the flicker, each flicker is flash at different frequency, and also has a phase difference. And so the system, so the user just look at the bit data and then can type. That's kind of high speed VCI. Okay, so this is one application, the VCI splitter, and this is what I did in my lab to kind of the assisted device for home care for people, handicapped people. He cannot move his hand, and then for eating assistance. So, for example, there are 5 dishes on the table, and also show on the screen, and so each flicker is placed in a different frequency. So the user just look at the relative flickers. For example, this is fish, this is meat, this is vegetable, this is the soup. And so you just look at the dish. Like he likes to eat, and then the system can identify it and then drive the robot to pick up the food for him or for her. So this is the system that we developed based on the SSBP. Okay, and the other case study is the brain fingerprinting. So the biomarker we use here in this example is a P300. So this is also our joint cooperative work with Dr. Tim in UTS. It's a P300 detection. And P300 is the ERP, event-related potential component in the brain signal to indicate when people identify the target, so target, non-target. So this is very clear difference when the people, when the user see the target or hear some target image or even a word, anything is target in his mind, then there is a biomarker P300. Otherwise, if no target, is afraid. So this is if we can identify correctly the P300, then we can understand, okay, the current stimulus to the user is a target in his or in her mind. Okay, so this is P300. And based on this simple biomarker, we developed a system for a company in US. Okay, this is an example. So for example, I just, again, you consider you yourself as the subject for this experiment. Then I will tell you in advance that, okay, the target later is A. And then, okay, so you have A as a target in your mind, in your brain. So then I will show you all the different data here. And then I record the EEG data. And as I said, that when A appear, then I can detect the P300 in your brain. For other data, I cannot detect the P300, this biomarker. Okay, so this is experiment for the P300. And application, this is one application. I use a video to show you. And okay, this is what we developed for a company.
Linda Brooke is a CIA agent working at the CIA headquarters. She's suspected of having a connection with a foreign intelligence agency. Allegedly, she steals government secrets from the CIA and sells it to the foreign intelligence agent. Her operating procedure is as follows. Whenever she sees an X mark in her mailbox, she knows that it's time for a meeting and exchange, money for secrets. Once she steals the information, she always uses her husband's white Volkswagen to drive to an Italian restaurant in a remote section of the city. In the restaurant, she usually leaves the information in a suitcase, which is picked up by the foreign agent. She purchased a house in the Caribbean and has a considerable amount of money in a Swiss bank account under her husband and another relative's name. During the interrogation, the agent showed the evidence to the suspect and collected the suspect's response. The suspect denied all the allegations. Then the agent carried out a brain fingerprinting test on the suspect. The suspect was shown the images related to the crime. Images shown to her were the white Volkswagen car that she uses to drive to the restaurant, the restaurant picture where she usually meets, the house that she owns in the Caribbean, the sign on her mailbox, which is a clue for her to steal the information and meet. The suspect was also shown words or phrases related to the crime. Words shown were the white car, what she usually drives to go to the restaurant, the Swiss bank logo, where she deposited her money, black briefcase, which she uses to transfer confidential materials. Once the brain fingerprinting test is completed, the result confirmed that Linda Brooke had the information present, and indeed she was the agent selling the crucial CIA information.
Okay, so this is another case. Okay, then I introduced the BCI combined with the AR, VR, and mixed reality. This is some of my ongoing researches in UTS in Australia at the moment. So for example, BCIs can also can be used for the game control, right? Especially for the VR game. Since, as I said, we can easily embed all the sensors, require sensor on the headset, naturally. And then from here, we can, this is a nature brain computer interface to control the character of the action in the game. Okay. And so this is the outlook of some of our experimental design. So you can see this is our EEG devices, and this is the AR. This is AR goggle. And of course, we can have better design. As I said, we can embed the sensor and all the circuit, the miniaturized circuit. Or we use the 3D printing to have a good, to keep a good contact of the sensor on the scar surface. Okay, so it's a naturally integration of the two systems, BCI with AR or VR goggles. Okay. And so this is one study problem. The problem we study is that to mitigate hazard fall in VR. So it happens that when people play with VR, it's easy to fall down, lose the balance. And so from the EEG signal, then we can, in this study, we want to get a biomarker, to find a biomarker which can indicate when the user losing balance or even about to fall down. Okay, so this is the one application and research, and this is another research in the depth, in the depth. So combined with the VR goggle. So this is the scene that this user is looking at. So this is to induce the pressure, the stress. So we can manipulate the height of the of the plane, and this is virtual, and all this is real. So in this experiment design, we want to compare what the effect of the real height of the plane and the virtual height of the plane. And so we are recording the EEG data simultaneously when the user doing this experiment. So this can, from this experiment, we can extract the biomarker to indicate the stress level. First objective. The second objective is we want to study how stress affect the people using the BCI interface. Okay. The stress will affect the performance of the human, and we want to study how stress will affect the performance when people using the BCI technology. Okay. And also we have a project, ongoing project. This is a larger scale project is in Australia for Australia Defense for the human brain interface. Okay, so majorly the main function is for the hand-free control, just that you have both hands can do your things. So you don't need to push a button or even wet your hand as kind of the gesture control something. No, you're free, all your hand, both your hand, and just the brain to control the robot. So this is the one earlier experiment we did. So with the mobile robot, and there are some display, some arrow display on it, and the user just look at this, and then through the BCI technology, we can extract the command of the user. The command of the user is set to ask the robot to turn right or turn left, or moving upward, or moving forward, or moving backward. So this the basic technology we use is the motor imaging again. This. Okay, yeah. So this is quite early stage research in this project, and so this is some data on development. Yeah. So we combine with the AI computer vision. Yeah, it's just that this is SSVP technology that I showed you earlier. So we put flicker on the target, on the potential target. And so the user just look at the flicker, which flicker corresponding to the fixed object in his mind. So basically in this experiment, there are 3 bottles, different kind of drink. So the user can select the drink that he wants. It's a Coke or orange juice or just water. Okay, so that's through this design. And I think this is another example. Okay, this is a video I'll show you. So even we can put the flicker on the transparent display, transparent display. So, for example, this represents the turn left, represent turn right, and move forward. And so through the brain signal can control the robot to the right position to make the left turn, right turn. Yeah. Okay. So this is one application. So actually, in this project, we want to develop a VCI system based on the AR glasses, AR goggle. Just that he can, or he or she, the user, can issue the command to the robot and to the target destination. But you don't need not use hand at all. It's all both hands are free. Okay, this is the application, and this is another related project, and also mentioned in Professor Nguyen's slide about use the brain signal to control the drone. I'll show you what we did in my lab. This is my students in Australia. So this is also the motor imaginary based technology. Okay, yeah. So this is one of my lab in UTS. Actually, this is the other campus. Maybe Professor Hong Ha. I'm not sure. Did you visit? TED is close to the Sydney airport. So next time, yeah, you can visit. Yeah. And okay, so this is the other project we just finished. It's the BCI-based augmented training and learning. So the idea, actually, this is for the ATC train. ATC stands for the air traffic controller. So we try to use the VCI technology to enhance the learning efficiency of the ATC air traffic controller persons. So the idea is that we using our devices and to identify basically we identify the mental workload of we call a student. The ATC is learning to do the air traffic control. And then we base on the current cognitive state, especially the mental workload. And so we can detect the mental workload or cognitive workload. The formal term is the cognitive mental workload. Okay, so the cognitive mental workload label. So it become we can represent it as a meter, right? It's a high workload or medium or the low cognitive load. Okay, and based on the mental workload label, and we can update the content of training. For example, if the ATC is currently the student is in a high mental workload, then we should reduce the complexity of the training task. For example, we can have only 3 airplanes show on the screen. But if the students in a low mental workload, then we can enhance the complexity of the student. For example, we could increase the number of airplanes from 3 to 5 or to 10. Just that can enhance the students' learning. So this is the concept, and this is the video for this. So in this video, I also show you, I mentioned earlier that it's the real-time artifact removal with our portable devices. So you can, this is before artifact removal, and this is after artifact removal. So we try, this is my, yeah, the Kong is my very excellent student, also from Vietnam, and he's a graduate. This is what he did when he was a PhD student. Right now he become the research associate in my lab. So we try to tap. You can see when you tap it, will induce a lot of noise because what we use is the dry sensor. Okay. So this is another disadvantage of the dry sensors, but we can try to mitigate the artifact to get them quite clean EEG data. Okay, and this is a mental workload estimations. So in addition to the brain signal, we also use the eye based on eye tracker to detect the eye activity, and the study have been shown that the pupil size has a high correlated with the mental workload. So we combine these two kinds of information. One is EEG and one is the pupil size from the eye tracker, and then to assess the current mental workload label of the user and indicate in the mental workload meters. So just that we can understand is high or medium or low, and then as a cross loop to adapt the complexity of the learning content. Okay, so this is we just finished this project for ATC control, air traffic control, and the next one I will talk to you is the HAT. Okay, right now it's become very popular research problem about the human machine cooperation, or maybe even we can say that it's human AI cooperation or human AI teaming. And BCI can play the important role in this application, HAT for short. HAT is easy to memorize. Human autonomy teaming. Autonomy means intelligent machine, or you can call it AI. So you will use the term as the human AI teaming and also the HAT. So this is one application, and the concept is very straightforward. Is that so we have human and we have machine, and then want to cooperate. And the first important things for two agents to cooperate is that they have to understand each other, the mutual understanding. Okay, so both sides, right? The human have to understand machine, and this part is easier since at the world the machine is designed by human, right? And so machine is easier to be understandable to human. But on the other side, it's not so easy, right? How the machine can understand what the human is thinking, what his intention. So this is what the BCI can help to help the machine to understand the human. Okay. Of course, there are other modalities we can use, for example, by speech, by gesture, by behavior. But by EEG is more direct. So EEG is the signal, is the BCI technology can establish a more direct link between the brain and the machine, right? Even we talk about the speech, we talk about the gesture, all controlled by the brain, right? But because we do not exclude other modality, so the best way is to combine EEG, BCI together with other modality, including the speech and the gesture, or even the emotion, right? To let the machine understand what the status of the human. So when so BCI in the world that the BCI can enhance the machine to understand human, just that they can have a better mutual understanding and for their better cooperation. Okay, this is the basic concept. And so I just show you one system that we developed. So this is the human and this is robot for the blastering task. Okay, so this is the rely on the good cooperation between the human and machine. And traditionally, will be based on the hand. And also we have force sensor here. And so the machine can detect, try to understand the human intention from the force sensor. But with the VCI technology, then we can establish the direct link between the brain and the robot, just that the human can understand better about the human's intention. For example, if the machine do something wrong, and then we can detect from the brain signal immediately. Yeah. So this is the way to use the VCI technology to enhance the human-machine cooperation. Okay, so up to this point, I introduced you some applications majorly developed in my lab for the normal people. So basically, as I said, that is to augment human performance. Okay, and the other application is majorly for the patients, especially the neural diseases patients. So it's on the clinical applications. So, for example, sleep disorder detection, migraine detection, and some others. ADHD, also a very important problem, and depression, dementia. Okay. Yeah, so I went to, of course, I did not do all the application here. So I just mentioned some application that I did in the lab. So the first is the BCI for migraine attack predictions. So migraine patient, also become a very important problem nowadays since the migrant population getting higher and higher. And important thing is that 75% of the migrant patients have no any symptom before the headache occurring. So this is something like earthquake prediction. If we can predict earthquake, then we can take, for example, we can take the proper actions before the disaster, right? The migraine is the same. We can, since as I said, 75% have no any symptom before the headache attack. So if we can help this 75% migraine patient to tell him or her earlier, okay, you will have a headache in 2 days, in 3 days. Then he or she can take some action. For example, he can take the medicine, or he can rearrange his scheduling, his activity, something like that. Yeah, so this also, if we can predict the migraine attack precisely, then can also reduce the patient to use the medicine, right? For example, if there is no any indication, then the patient will take the medicine. If there is some important event in the coming days and coming week, then he will take medicine. But with the extension, with the prediction, then he can make a better judge. He or she can make a better judge. So this is the problem. So this is different stage of the migraine. So this is headache occur. So this migraine attack. And before that is we call it the pre-drone. Okay, and this is opposite drone. So so in our study, we want to use the BCI technology to check to detect, record the EEG data before in advance, and then to find the biomarker and to help us to identify, to predict the attack of the migraine. Okay, so this is this research. So this is the biomarker that we use. We found the coherence is the good biomarker. So this is something related to brain connectivity. Okay, so this different stage of the migraine patient. So this is the ETO. ETO means the migraine attack, and this pre-ETO means the before, and this after post-ETO, and this is normal. Okay, so you can see if we can check the biomarker, different biomarker represented by the brain connectivity, and from the brain connectivity, we can identify which phase or which stage the migraine patient is in. So, for example, if we look, if we observe just kind of the brain connectivity, then we can tell the user, okay, you'll be very careful since the headache will attack in some hours, in some days. Actually, we can predict the accuracy as high as the 90% 3 days ahead, 72 hours ahead. Yeah, but of course, it depends on a different level of the migraine patients. Yeah, so we have a different group of the migraine patients. So we have medium level, we have low level, high level. Low level means that the headache attack on average is 4 to 5 times per month. And median migraine level is around 8 to 7 times per month. Yeah. So it's more, but even for serious, it's happen very frequently, and then the prediction is not so meaningful. Okay? So this is one research I did in clinical application of the BCI. The other is also quite popular application is the seizure prediction. I think Professor Nguyen also mentioned this. So we can, in this application, obviously we want to predict the onset of the seizure. Okay, so quite similar to migraine, just a seizure prediction. So this is one of our experiment in Sydney. So this is seizure process, and in the experiment we ask the patient to follow the instruction, the video, the action. So different action will reduce different level of the seizures, and then we record the EEG data for further analysis. So this is another application BCI for seizure prediction. And the other interesting application is for the FOG prediction, freezing of gait prediction. The freezing of gait it means that the people this is also an important problem for FOG patient. He will start to move in anymore. He cannot walk anymore. Just stand still. He or she cannot move anymore. So it will happen unexpectedly. So it's quite dangerous. Quite dangerous, right? If the user just walking across the road and he's just stopped in the middle of the road, the car is coming. It's very dangerous. So this is also, I think, it's also very helpful if we can predict when the FOG will arise, will come. So this is our experimental design, and so this patient normal walking, and actually the FOG usually happen when in a transition of change of the moving pattern. For example, to make a turn or go through the gate, and easy to induce the FOG. And so this is experiment. And also we want to detect the onset of the FOG. The interesting problem is that if the stop is the voluntary instead of unexpectedly, then how to detect the difference? Is this the stop caused by the FOG, or the stop is caused by voluntary? The user, I just want to stop, right? So this is another experimental design. So we have to identify the different the biomarker which indicate the real FOG and can distinguish from the voluntary stop. Otherwise, this device will be very annoying, right? I just want to go, and you just keep telling me, okay, you must stop, you must stop. But I just want to stop, and the system just telling me, oh, you should not stop, you something like that. Okay, so this is the interesting part of this research, to identify the biomarker which can distinguish from two purposes. One is to predict the onset of FOG, and second is to distinguish from the FOG and the voluntary stop. Okay, so this is this research. And rehabilitation, I think this application, Professor Nguyen already mentioned this, so I quickly. So we quite exactly the same idea together with the VR. Okay, so in the final design we have something like this. Let me show. Okay, so this is the so in the virtual reality that you can see the one hand and the other is the empty, since this is to rehabilitate the right hand movement, and so through the BCI and the MI motor imaginary, so the the patient will image his right hand move, since his right hand cannot move at the moment. So we want to rehabilitate his right hand or her right hand to move. And so we ask the subject to consider the right hand move, although the right hand cannot move exactly. So in that case, we can. So this is another design. Is that okay? We still the VR, although the patient's right hand cannot move at all, but we still have, but he or she still can see there is a right hand on the screen moving. So we found this way it can enhance the rehabilitation efficiency, right? It can produce, and also he will try hard to think the right hand movement, so we can get a quite strong motor imagery biomarker and signals. So in this way, can enhance the rehabilitation effect. And so this is one of our design here. We designed as a game design. So this is a ball rolling game. And so what he or she see in the VR goggle is these things. So this looks like he's rolling the ball. And so, for example, if he's want to rehabilitate his or her right hand, and then the steer will show the rolling ball. Yeah, so it kind of to get the integration with the VCI and the VR glasses can enhance the effect, the effectiveness of the rehabilitations. So this is one of our applications. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I think I show you a lot of application example here. So yeah, thank you for your attention. I think I finished earlier, so but maybe we can have some interaction or discussion.
Thank you, Professor Lin. Yeah, I think for convenience, the audience, if you have any question, could you please just signal me by using the raise hand button? Then I will call you. That will be easier to coordinate.
Mm-hmm.
I think like maybe I will start first with my own question. I'm also doing some studies in EEG signal processing, and is currently collaborating with that Brooklyn group. So I would like to ask about the wearable devices. So normally, I mean, like we all can see the future of wearable devices because of their advantages, such as like it doesn't require any kind of like wet sensor. It is also like light and easy to wear. But when looking at research papers, we only see results reported from most often from what to say like laboratory devices. So could you please like just give me your opinion about like why is it not frequently reported in scientific papers, but only like appears in the market? Is that because like people working in commercialized devices, they don't want to publish their results, or is it not really reliable at the moment to be published in scientific reports? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, you have I think your observation and thinking is quite right. Yeah, actually, right now it's still challenging, still ongoing research problem. So that's why I say in the beginning, hardware and software is easy tool for our audience to understand. There's a two major research problem in BCI. BCI technology, one hardware, one software. The hardware part still the dry sensor is still challenging. So I think the main reason that is that the still not so reliable. I should say that. So, but you still can see another paper published in the journal. But your observation is exactly correct. If you talk about more serious, more fundamental scientific journal, they still have some question about the dry sensor. So for the scientific journal, they are very focused, very the truth, the finding is very important, right? It's for the scientific paper. So they still rely on the traditional EEG devices. They have been proved. It's a high fidelity with the wet sensor. By applying the conductive gel, I can get a more clean and reliable brain signal. It's just that they can claim, okay, their finding is valuable. It's the correct finding. So right now, this is still the attitude of the scientific journal, more scientific journal, because they want to get rid of the effect from the other artifact, right, through the dry sensors. Yeah, and so your observation is correct. But I think through the progress of the dry sensor, and so this will be changed, I think. And basically, you can see that the journal that can accept the dry sensor-based BCI researches has become wider and wider. And so actually, you can also, I also published another few papers, even on the dry sensor by itself, development, and also I got patent. And so if we can show the good performance of dry sensor as compared to the wet sensor, then so this kind of journal still like to accept just kind of paper. And also from application point of view, we can show them the real value of the applications. And then it's just kind of paper, just kind of journal is also I like to publish just kind of this research result. Yeah, so this is one thing. The current status of the dry sensor based researches. So as I
recording stopped.
Is that okay? Okay. So
yeah, sure, please go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. So as I said in the beginning, so this is still ongoing. So right now we are working on new materials, graphene based. It seems the result is quite good, and the lower conductivity, and also you wear it longer, it's getting better. This is a quite unique property of the graphene sensor. Since I think the major disadvantage of the wet sensor is not only the inconvenience, is that the main disadvantage is that it will get dry. So you have to keep it wet all the time if you want to use it for a longer term. Very inconvenience. Yeah, but the dry sensor, with the graphene-based dry sensor, we realize that when you use longer, it's getting better in the sense of the low conductivity. That is because the sweater, the restraint, right? We are straight have been getting longer, and that sweat will make the material even more conductive. So this is our new finding. So I just give an example that this still need more effort on this. And the other point I want to raise is that as AI become important, for example, Professor Nguyen emphasized a lot about the deep learning network. Yeah, so I fully agree. So it's kind of hardware and software, actually, they are not independent. They can help each other. They can compensate each other. So if we have more powerful, if we use more powerful machine learning algorithm, they can compensate the shortage of the sensor of the devices. So when they're put together, and when we can show the good performance, this is the most important, not only for academic, but also for the industry. Yeah. Yes.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please, any other question?
Recording in progress.
Can I have questions to Professor Lin?
Yes, please.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Actually, before the questions, yesterday, Professor Lin Xian-Yi from Taipei Tech said to me that he was the master students. I'm afraid friend of Professor Lin Xian of AVITECH.
Jenny Lin. So you know him.
Actually, I have a quick questions. How long did it take for you and for the research group to produce the Mindu EEG device? How long did it take? Thank you.
Actually, I work on BCI more than 20 years. And so in the first 10 years, I'm more focused on the device part. At that time, I was still in Taiwan. So Xian Yilin, right? You met, is my former PhD, my master students. But it's long, he was not working on this BCI. At that time, I'm not in the BCI area yet. And so I work on, so if you, it's hard to say how long, since it keep progress, keep improving and keep improving from the sensor part, from the circuit design, and also the form factor design. So roughly, I could say that it's around 10 years. Yeah. And for the development of the Mido systems, from the very simple one, maybe just from a headband with the 2 sensors inside, and up to the high density 64 device, channel devices, took me around 10 years. So it's very expensive for just kind of research. But unfortunately, during this period, I got the support from the US. Dutch scale project. It's a cross-country project. So they bring the money. He gave the money to Taiwan for me to for this development. So it took me around 10 years. And then after that, I become more focused on the algorithm development. Especially when I moved to Australia, I majorly focus on algorithm. And since they already have not a few commercialized products, and of course I still keep using what I developed before, but so the only thing I'm keep going on the hardware part is cooperating with the material scientists to using the new devices and the graphene technology. Yeah, so this is the current status. So I say that this is including the hardware and software. Yes.
Thank you. So the next question is from Dr. Lê Vũ Hà. Please, Dr. Lê Vũ Hà.
Okay, thank you, Hiệp. Thank you, Sydney.
Yeah, thanks.
Impressive. Okay. Now, just a follow-up of Hiep's questions, because we are looking to acquire some easy set with the right sensors. And you said, we see that a lot of your work has been around the Mindu headset. Is it a commercial product at the moment? Is it available on the market?
Okay. Actually, the major technology is transferred to a company in Taiwan now. So just in these 2 years, so they have their own plan. So this become a gap in between at the moment. But of course, I still have what are the devices I have in my lab. So for example, currently for the project that I'm doing here in Australia, I still use my devices in the lab. But the new product, I need to wait another half year or new year to wait until the new company that transfer my technology to formally make it a commercialized product. So they are based on my technology. They do some improvement on the hardware and software part. But I still have other devices. None of that, I still have some devices in my lab here in Australia, also in Taiwan. Yeah.
So do you have any recommendation about the right sensor headset with good quality signal?
Actually, as a matter of fact, in my current research project with the BRI, brain neural interface, we test different kind of sensor and dry sensor, but we still realize that, sorry to say that, my sensor, my own sensor, the spin notice sensor that I show you in one, right? It still have the best performance. It's a mental base. The spin notice sensor still has the best performance. But of course, there still are some other dry sensor available. Commercialized dry sensor is still okay. If you need, I can I can recommend you through the email or something. Yeah.
Okay.
But still,
Thank you.
Still, I
Thank you,
strongly
sir.
recommend my spin notice sensor. It's a mental base. It's not so comfortable, but but in some application, it's quite okay, quite good. Yeah. So, for example, we will have a very important demo in Canberra in May 12th to show to the all the journal. Since it's a defense project, and so in the demo we will see that the soldier with our devices and hold a gun, and then there's a machine dog beside him or her, and then he will give the command to the dog to the target A, target B, target C. So in this experiment, we still rely on my spin notice sensor. Actually, we try different kind of sensor, but still more reliable on the spin notice sensor in the circuit. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. Please, Mr. Trịnh Thanh Tùng. Yep.
Okay. First of all, I would like to give a thanks to Professor Lin, Professor Lê, and Dr. Nguyen for hosting the event today and for sharing many great knowledge about the BCI and its application. I would like to have a question to Professor Lin. As you know, EEG-based prediction system I think it remains a significant limitation. It is intra-subject variability and inter-subject variability. I mean, the EEG data we record from a subject may differ within a subject, and it may differ between subjects. So a training model you already train on the training data may not work well with the unseen data. So could you please suggest, or you have some recommend about some methodology that you think it could help for this challenge? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, very good questions. Yeah, so this is about the individual difference, individual variation for the BCI user, especially for the BCI we based on the dry sensor, even different contact status, right? We also realize there's a lot of variation during the hair clean, right? Hair clean. So if the user, they did not clean the hair well, and the performance was not good in the following day. Yes. So yeah, I agree. First of all, I agree there's still some limitation there. So right now, people, from my point of view, before I answer your question directly, I'm thinking important thing is to look for the right application for BCI. So it doesn't mean that with this current limitation, doesn't mean that the BCI still cannot work for anything. Right? We still have a good to find a proper application. I think this is right now the most industry they are interested in BCI. The first thing they need to do is that what is the good application, the right application. So we call it a killer application. You know, if one industry has a killer application, then it will succeed, earn a lot of money. One example is I just showed you about a kind of light detector, right? It's the the CIA video I show you. They just based on the P300, and then they sell the whole system. The whole system, including actually our device is a very small part. They sell the whole system, including all the computer, or set up a whole room, even the room construction or something like that. The whole system. Okay, so how to find a good application is important, and especially I want to emphasize again with the current advance of the machine learning technology, many regional disadvantage of the BCI system can be addressed. And go back to your problem. Yeah, so actually right now we also face this problem. So what we did, if you if you observe in the video that I show you about the brain control of the drone. So in the beginning, we still spend some 5 minutes, 10 minutes to calibrate the system. So before the student wear the devices, and then we will still record the data for 5 minutes. So do the image in the right hand move, and then we calibrate the system. So so we can calibrate the system to address the individual difference in 5 minutes and 10 minutes. Okay, this is the way that we did right now. But more promising is that the people talk a lot about the transfer learning in machine learning. Right? So transfer learning means that of course we still can learn something. We still need to learn, but we don't need to learn from zero. Since although they are individual difference, but the major part of the human, we are human at all. Right? So the human part is the same. So we still have the mother system, and then we tune the mother system to the new user. And with the transfer learning technology, right now it's quite many powerful tools that you can use. And we even can transfer from different tasks, just based on so when there's a new user, and then we can try to transfer the current technology, the current system, and to fit the characteristic of the new user. So the keyword here is transfer learning. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the answer. Actually, I'm a PhD student in AVITECH, Taiwan, and I know you are Taiwanese. So I did a lot of paper relating to research.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So did we meet? Did you visit here before? No.
No, but I know you're Taiwanese. I know you currently work in Australia, and I read a lot of paper relating to research. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So yeah, maybe I will have the last question for today, because it is already 11:30. So before Dr. Nguyen has mentioned about the requirements to join his lab, and for Professor Lin's lab, I would like to ask for future graduate students. So you mentioned in your previous slide that so your lab is working both in hardware and in software. So for a grad student who wants to apply for a research position, a PhD position in your lab, then what is the basic requirement? Would you mind to share with us? Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. So this for me, or this question, or for Nguyen, or for both of us?
I think like Dr. Nguyen mentioned before already, that he needs a lot of skills in terms of biomedical and signal processing and machine learning and deep learning. Yeah, so I would like to ask about that, and then the student they can have like a look and compare, because like joining either your lab or Professor's Nguyen's lab is also a great opportunity for them to grow. Yeah, but then there will be like two sides, and then yeah, it's good that to know about the requirement from your lab, and then yeah, more information for the student. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate for you asking these questions. Very helpful to me. Also, Professor Nguyen also has a very fantastic lab. Also can attract students there. So maybe I go first. I think a different lab could be a different focus. So as I say that in my current lab now is more focused on algorithm and machine learning development. But of course, we still need the hardware. And so how to say that? Actually, I realized it's not easy to develop hardware in Australia. It's quite easy in Taiwan. So this is another reason that when I moved to Australia 6 years ago, and I just more focused on algorithm. And I do have hard time on the hardware, since my current research project, I still need hardware. So I usually still get support from Taiwan. So if a student have the hardware background, that would be great. That would be fantastic. But I think more important is that right now I use more on the machine learning technology and AI part. So for those students also interested in AI or machine learning and also interested in the BCI, and welcome to join us. But with the plus is the hardware, but not necessary, since I realized that right now hardware is quite easy. Several commercialized is available, and more important part is on the algorithm on the software part. Yeah, that your pitch detection algorithm is very powerful. Yeah. Okay, this is my part. I'm not sure, Professor Nguyen want to say something?
Yep. Can I ask some comments from my perspective? Actually, my lab just has been established like for around 2 years. It's still very new, and we would like to welcome a lot of many other like co-researchers, like students. Actually, I'm also an adjunct lecturer at VNU. So there's two ways to join my lab. The first way, you can register as a master PhD student at VNU and ask me to join my lab. Actually, of course, the topics need to be aligned with my lab research topics. The second way, Vietnam Korean Institute of Science and Technology is a new research institution in Vietnam. It is co-sponsored by the Vietnamese government and the Korean governments. So you with just go, if someone want to join my lab as an official member, you can apply as a researcher to VKIS, and then we will have a good like collaboration, and it is also aligned with the research direction of VKIS and of my lab. And I think good student, excellent students at VNU is more than enough for the requirements to join my labs. Thank you.
Yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Professor Lin and Dr. Nguyen, for sharing your experience and especially your insights about BCI. I think like because like we are already late, so I know you both are very busy, but you still like spend some time to share your experience with us today. I hope this is the first step for future collaboration, not only between VNU and UTS that we have already established, but also maybe between VKIST and UTS, and maybe like three parties collaboration: VKIST and VNU, UET, and UTS. Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
I
everyone.
agree.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hope to see you again soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Have a good afternoon. Bye.
Afternoon, bye-bye.